Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world. I want to tell a story. And it begins like all good stories. Long, long ago, far, far away. Well, not that long ago, and not that far away either. There was a little girl that lived way up in the mountains in a log cabin with her parents. And her father was a woodcutter. Well, nowadays we call them loggers. And her parents were very poor. But she felt that she had everything she needed. Her mother kept the little cabin warm with a pot-bellied stove, red hot all the time. There were heavy quilts on her bed to keep her warm at night. And she could play out in the snow, making snowmen and snowballs. Things were very good for her, as they often are for little girls that don't know any different in this world. But her parents knew Christmas was coming, and they did not have money for presents. So they sadly started to prepare her for what that was going to be like, and they started to tell her that Christmas probably wasn't going to come this year. But she didn't believe that. You can't stop Christmas. And her parents just were very sad. Christmas Eve came. Logging trucks went down to town with a list of groceries that were needed, and a snowstorm came, and it snowed and it snowed and it snowed, as it often does in the hills. And the little girl went to bed that night, Christmas Eve, all excited, cozying down in her warm quilts, and her parents went to bed that night very sad, heartbroken. And it snowed and it snowed. Well, she got up the next morning and the snow had stopped. And she looked out the window and there were billows of snow as far as the eye could see, and the sun was shining. And the sun shone on all of that snow, and it looked like a blanket of diamonds covering the earth. It was beautiful. And the silence was perfect. It was incredible. But there was no tree in the house. There was no presents. And then in that silence, that little girl heard something. Woof, woof, woof. It was faint at first, and then it got louder, and then it got louder, and then it got louder, and then there it was. Those logging trucks were beating their way through miles of snowdrifts to reach that cabin on Christmas Day. Miles of snowdrifts, because those old crusty truck drivers knew that little girl was waiting for Christmas dinner. And they brought her Christmas dinner, and her parents were astounded. But that little girl was not. She knew, in the way that adults just don't understand, that you can't stop Christmas. I know this is a true story because I was that little girl. So, it's made me an optimist my whole life. I hope that wherever you are, in whatever circumstances you are in, that the hope of Christmas far exceeds any expectations of presents or any of the commercial things that this world tries to convince you it's about, because it's not. It's about hope. It's about joy. And you can find that in any circumstance. And if you can, be like those old crusty truck drivers and bless someone. Do it. Their legacy has lasted my whole life. Merry Christmas.